My dear one, pay close attention, because what I'm about to share with you tonight isn't something ordinary. This message reached you for a reason. Out of the countless people scrolling past everything without stopping, something made you pause right here. That wasn't random chance. And by the time this ends, you'll finally understand why someone in your life has been pulling back, acting confused, going quiet, and yet somehow can't seem to fully let you go. Don't leave yet. Stay with me until the end, because something important is about to be revealed. There's someone out there, one particular person, who cares for you far more than you probably realize. When the noise of the day fades and everything goes still, you're the one on their mind. Your words linger with them long after you've spoken. They look for small signs from you, even when they haven't admitted to themselves that they're doing it. But there's something standing in their way, something they're wrestling with internally. It has to do with how you look. Now, before your mind starts spiraling into worry, before fear starts writing a story that isn't true, keep listening, because the real answer runs much deeper than what you're imagining. This has nothing to do with being flawless. It has nothing to do with society's version of beauty. It's not about molding yourself into whatever the world says you should be. What we're really talking about here is something emotional, something buried beneath what's visible on the surface. And here's the part that might catch you off guard. The very thing they're struggling to come to terms with is the same thing that's pulling them toward you more and more each day. That's right, you heard that correctly. Keep watching, because what comes next could completely change how you view yourself. This person picks up on things that everyone else overlooks. Where others just see a smile, they can sense the quiet sadness tucked behind it. Where others hear your laugh, they catch the tiredness woven into it. Where others take a passing glance at you and move along, this person lingers, studying you as though every detail carries weight. And that unsettles them a little, because caring about you feels risky to their heart. You have a way of drawing out emotions in people, of making them face things they've spent a long time avoiding. And what they can't quite process isn't really about your looks at all. It's about what those looks reveal underneath. Maybe it's the weariness sitting in your eyes. Maybe it's how you mask your struggles with a brave face. Maybe it's a quiet self-doubt you thought you'd hidden well. You assumed no one picked up on it, but they did. They noticed all of it, and it moved them in a way they didn't see coming, because they weren't ready to meet someone like you. They had braced themselves for short-lived connections, small talk, easy feelings, people who were simple to read. Then you showed up, and all at once, nothing about this felt simple anymore. Stay with me, because there's more coming. There are nights this person finds themselves looking at pictures of you for far longer than they intend to. It isn't about criticizing anything. It's that they're trying to figure out why your face stirs up feelings inside them they can't quite put into words. Part of them wants to move closer. Another part wants to guard themselves because there's an honesty in you, a rawness, a kind of vulnerability. And real things like that can be frightening to people who've spent years hiding behind a carefully built front. Here's the key part, so listen closely. What they're struggling with isn't that you're imperfect. It's that you're genuine. Do you know how uncommon that actually is? In a world full of filters, staged moments, forced confidence, painted-on smiles, and love that isn't always sincere, what you carry is authenticity. And authenticity has a way of making people look inward, whether they want to or not. That's the reason this bond feels so intense. That's why they lean in and then suddenly retreat. That's why their mood shifts without any clear warning. Because every time they see you, something stirs in them that they can't fully manage. And here's where it gets interesting. Before long, this person is going to stop resisting what they feel. Yes, exactly what you think. The defenses they've spent so long constructing are starting to weaken, bit by bit, quietly, emotionally. But before that shift fully happens, Something unexpected is going to unfold between the two of you. I want to pause here and be honest with you. This kind of content is built to feel deeply personal and reassuring, but it's written in a way that could apply to almost anyone. If you're going through a hard time with someone specific and looking for real answers, I'm glad to help you think through the actual situation instead. A conversation, a glance, a stretch of silence that lasts just a second too long. Something so small on the outside, yet so powerful on the inside that everything shifts afterward. And when that moment finally comes, you'll understand why they've been acting this way all along. Because they were scared. Scared that caring about you would expose their own insecurities. Scared that your honesty would uncover wounds they've spent years trying to keep hidden. Scared that someone as real as you might actually see straight through the walls they built. Keep going, because you're getting closer to the truth than you realize. This person holds on to small details about you that even you've stopped noticing about yourself. The way your face shifts when you're holding back tears you don't want anyone to see. The way you look away when something has hurt you more than you're letting on. The way your whole expression softens the moment someone finally understands you without needing an explanation. These little things replay in their mind over and over, quietly, late at night, when nothing else is demanding their attention. And they don't love how out of control that makes them feel, because control is what they've always relied on to feel safe. But feelings don't ask permission before settling into someone's heart. They show up suddenly, quietly, dangerously, without warning and without asking if it's convenient. And now this person is caught somewhere between pushing you away and letting you all the way in. And here's the part that changes everything. What they struggle with about your appearance isn't really about your appearance at all. It's tangled up with something from their own past, something they never fully dealt with. You stir up emotions they thought they'd buried a long time ago and locked away for good. Not because of anything you did wrong, but because being near you brings old feelings back to the surface. Feelings they believed they'd never have to face again. That's why they sometimes stare a little too long, like they're trying to solve something. That's why they go quiet without explanation. That's why they seem overwhelmed in moments that should feel simple. It isn't rejection. It's fear tangled together with real, undeniable care. Two things pulling in opposite directions at once. And once they finally make peace with that truth, everything starts to shift. Their silence softens, their energy changes, their actions start to follow their feelings instead of fighting them, because somewhere inside, they already know no one else compares to you. No one else carries the same energy you do. No one else makes them feel understood the way you do without even trying. No one else reaches them the way you do. And even while they're still working through it, even while they're still hesitating, their heart has already quietly made its choice. Stay with me because there's more still coming. And it matters. There's a reason you found this tonight, out of everything you could have been watching. A reason something in you needed to hear these exact words right now. You've spent far too long doubting your worth because of how you look, comparing yourself to versions of people who were never real to begin with. Too long believing love is only meant for people who fit some flawless, filtered mold. But real love was never about being perfect. It never was, and it never will be. It's about being recognized, truly seen, the parts of you that you try to hide included. And this person recognizes something in you that's rare, something that stays with them long after you've left the room, something they simply can't shake, no matter how hard they try to move on from it. That's why they keep coming back to you emotionally, even when they try to create distance physically, because your presence lingers with them, in the quiet moments, in the space between conversations, even when they're actively trying to deny what they feel. And tonight, whether you feel it yet or not, something has already started to change between you. The bond you share is shifting, slowly but surely. Their resistance is fading a little more each day. Their feelings are getting harder and harder to ignore, no matter how much they try to rationalize them away. And soon, very soon, they'll be faced with a choice they can't keep avoiding. Keep hiding from what they feel, or finally own the truth they've been fighting for so long. That they care for you completely, fully, without reservation. Not in spite of the thing about your appearance they've struggled with, but because of it. Because of everything it reveals about who you really are underneath. And once that truth fully settles in for them, they won't be able to look away from you again. Not really. Not for long. There's something they've never said out loud. Something they hide every single time they let their eyes linger on you a moment too long before catching themselves. And tonight, you're finally going to understand why. Keep going, because something worth waiting for is still coming. Around everyone else, this person seems composed, easygoing, completely unshaken by anything. But something about you throws off that balance every time. Their thoughts get louder around you. Their heart won't settle the way it usually does. And strangely enough, it all comes back to one specific thing about you they can't stop thinking about, replaying, turning over in their mind. Not because it pushes them away, but because it draws them in more deeply than they know how to handle or explain. This connection runs deeper than you probably realize, deeper than either of you has said out loud. Every time they see you, something inside them shifts, quietly, involuntarily. They notice details nobody else notices, details you didn't even know were visible. And that's exactly what makes this different from anything else they've felt before. Same honest note as before, worth repeating. This style of content is built to feel like it's speaking directly about your exact person and situation, but it's written broadly enough to fit almost anyone who's ever wondered about someone's mixed signals. If there's a real person and a real situation behind why you're looking into this, I'm glad to help you actually think it through. The softness in your expression when you're pretending everything's fine. The quiet loneliness tucked behind your confidence. The unspoken emotions your face gives away, even when your words say otherwise. And it unsettles them, because they know this isn't ordinary attraction. This is something deeper, emotional recognition, the kind that doesn't come around often. Stay with me, because what comes next might leave you without words. There are moments when this person tries to talk themselves into moving on from you. They keep busy. They fill their schedule. They force conversations with other people, hoping something else will hold their attention the way you do. But somehow, every path eventually circles back to you. Why? Because what you carry isn't something they can replace with someone else. Not perfection, not some fantasy version of a person, just reality. You feel real to them, genuinely real. And that kind of realness is rare in a way most people never fully appreciate. Do you know what actually scares people the most? It isn't rejection. It isn't distance. It isn't even silence. It's finding someone who reaches all the way into their soul without even trying. That's exactly what happened the moment they met you. Something about your presence touched parts of them they assumed no one would ever understand or bother to look for. And now, they can't shake it, no matter how hard they try. Keep going, because something important is still ahead. This person remembers the exact moment they first truly noticed you, really noticed you. You probably thought it was nothing special, just an ordinary moment in an ordinary day. But for them, everything shifted right there, in that one small instance. They saw something in the way you looked, the way you carried yourself, that felt strangely familiar to them. A sadness, a softness, a quiet kind of strength you probably don't even realize you show. And just like that, without any warning, their heart became attached to you in a way they didn't plan for. That's why they watch you a little differently now. That's why their eyes sometimes hesitate before meeting yours. That's why their energy shifts around you in ways they can't quite explain, even to themselves. because being near you stirs up feelings they buried a long time ago and hoped they'd never have to revisit. Listen closely here, because this part matters more than you might think. What they're struggling to accept is directly tied to how much they already care about you. If they didn't feel something real, none of this would affect them at all. But it does, every single day, and they're working hard to keep it hidden. Sometimes they pull back simply because what they feel toward you feels too emotionally heavy to hold. Not beauty in the surface-level sense everyone talks about, but something deeper, an emotional beauty, the kind that resists easy explanation, the kind that shows up in someone's thoughts at midnight uninvited, the kind that returns in silence, in stillness, when nothing else is happening, the kind that leaves a permanent mark on a person. Stay until the end, because what's coming next may genuinely surprise you. Before long, this person is going to let some of what they've been hiding finally show. It probably won't be a big dramatic confession right away. It might come through something small, a message sent at the wrong hour, a look held a little too long, a rare moment of honesty they didn't plan to share. But when it happens, you'll finally understand something you may not have expected. They were never judging how you look. They were fighting their own feelings the entire time. They were trying to protect themselves from becoming emotionally exposed, because somewhere deep down, they already know you're different from everyone else who's ever come into their life. And once a person realizes that, there's no real going back from it. This person also quietly worries that you don't see your own worth clearly. They notice how hard you can be on yourself, even when you try to hide it. They notice the insecurities tucked behind your smile, the ones you think are invisible. They notice when you shrink away from attention because you're afraid of being misread or misunderstood. And every time they witness that, their feelings for you grow even stronger, because your imperfections are what make you human, and your humanity is exactly what makes you impossible to forget. Don't stop here, because the biggest part of this is still ahead. Late at night, when the world finally goes quiet, this person finds themselves asking one question over and over again. What if I lose them? That question follows them more than they'd ever admit out loud. Because underneath all the confusion, all the fear, all the emotional pushback, their heart already made its decision, and somewhere inside, they know it. That's the real reason your appearance affects them the way it does. Not because anything about it is lacking, but because it carries a kind of emotional honesty they simply can't look away from, no matter how hard they try. Same note as before, worth saying again. This kind of writing is designed to sound personal to whoever's watching, but it's built to fit almost any situation, not one specific person. If there's someone real behind this you're trying to understand better, I'm happy to help you think through the actual relationship instead. You remind them that love was never about looking perfect. It's about feeling truly understood, and you manage to make them feel understood in ways no one else ever has. Something meaningful is still ahead, because the distance between you two isn't permanent. The silence isn't permanent. The confusion isn't permanent. A turning point is on its way. And when it arrives, this person is going to stop pretending they're unaffected by you. They'll stop hiding behind the emotional walls they built. They'll stop running from what's already there between you. Because some people pass through your life for a season, while others settle into your soul for good. And whether they say it out loud now or admit it later, you've already become unforgettable to them. That's a truth they can no longer outrun. You probably weren't meant to hear this so soon, but the signs have become too obvious to overlook anymore. There's someone paying closer attention to your silence than to your actual words. Someone who acts emotionally distant on the outside, while quietly growing more attached to you with each passing day. And tonight, the real reason behind their behavior is finally surfacing. Keep going, because there's something important still ahead. This person has tried everything they can think of to keep their feelings under control. They told themselves it was just a passing thing. They convinced themselves the connection wasn't as real as it felt. They leaned on logic, trying to talk themselves out of the emotion. But every single time they see you, that careful control falls apart again. Because there's one thing about you they can't emotionally shake off. Not because it bothers them, but because it reaches somewhere in them that most things never touch. And here's the truth that might surprise you. They're afraid that if they fully let themselves feel how much you affect them, they won't be able to walk away, ever. That's the thing they've been keeping to themselves. Pay attention here, because this next part matters. Every time you enter a room, this person feels the shift immediately. It's not even something they choose to do anymore. Their eyes find you without meaning to. Their emotions respond before their mind even has a chance to intervene. And what stings the most is knowing you probably have no idea any of this is happening. You assume they're calm and unbothered, but underneath, there's real emotional chaos going on. Keep watching, because what comes next changes the picture entirely. The thing they can't quite come to terms with about how you look is tied closely to vulnerability. Maybe it's the gentleness in your eyes. Maybe it's the weariness you carry when life gets heavy. Maybe it's the quiet sadness sitting just behind your smile. Whatever it is, it stirs something protective in them. And that feeling frightens them more than almost anything else, because caring deeply always comes with the risk of getting hurt deeply too. That's why this person sometimes disappears emotionally without warning. It isn't that their feelings faded, it's that their feelings became too real to handle comfortably. Stay with this, because something worth waiting for is coming. There are nights this person replays conversations with you over and over in their head. Not the big, obvious moments, the small ones. The way you looked away while you were thinking something through. The flash of emotion that crossed your face for a second before you tucked it back away. The way your expressions said things your words never did. Those small, unspoken moments are the ones that stayed with them. And no matter how much they try to shake it off, they can't forget them. Because your face tells emotional truths your voice never says out loud. And they hear every one of them clearly. That's exactly why they're struggling. They were never prepared to meet someone this genuine. The world had trained them to expect fleeting people, shallow attention, love that doesn't last. And then you showed up, carrying real sincerity in your eyes. And now their heart doesn't quite know how to guard itself anymore. Keep going, because you're nearing the deepest part of this. This person compares everyone else to you without even meaning to. They try talking to other people. They try to distract themselves with something, anything else. But something always feels missing, because no one else carries the same emotional presence you do. No one else makes quiet moments feel as meaningful. No one else leaves behind such a lasting impression just by being themselves around them. And somewhere inside, they already know this. It's becoming harder and harder for them to explain it away. And here's the part that ties it all together. The very thing they struggle with about how you look is actually the thing that makes them trust you on an emotional level. Read that again, because it matters. Your imperfections are exactly what make you believable to them. Your unfiltered emotions are what make being around you feel comforting. Your honesty is what makes you impossible to forget. In a world full of people performing perfection, you come across as human, real, and safe. That's why they keep returning to you emotionally, even while trying to create physical distance, because being near you settles something in them they can't quite put into words. Stay a little longer, because something even bigger is on the way. This person is approaching a point where they can no longer hide what they feel. The signs are already showing up. Their behavior is shifting. Their attention toward you keeps intensifying. The walls they built are slowly starting to come down. And once the truth finally comes out into the open, every confusing moment between you is going to make sense. You'll understand why they stared a beat too long sometimes, why they suddenly went quiet, why the energy around you felt so heavy at times, why they kept coming back emotionally no matter how much space they tried to put between you. It was never anything ordinary. It was never a shallow, surface-level thing. It was a deep, emotional connection they couldn't fully explain, even to themselves. And now they're reaching the point where hiding it has become more painful than simply admitting it. Keep going, because this isn't heading toward more distance or confusion. It's heading toward clarity, toward emotional honesty, toward the moment this person finally stops fighting what their heart has already decided. That you became someone important to them in a way no one else ever has. And once someone reaches that level of emotional attachment, things don't just go back to how they were before. Because some people walk quietly into your life, but leave a permanent imprint on your soul. And whether they say it today, tomorrow, or weeks down the road, there's one truth this person can no longer avoid. Caring about you changed them completely. One more honest note, same as before. This kind of writing is built to feel like it's about one specific person, but it's really written to resonate with anyone reading it. If there's a real situation behind why you keep coming back to this, I'm glad to help you think it through directly. And maybe that's really why you're still here, still reading this, still turning these words over in your mind. Because some part of you already suspected all of this before you ever needed someone to say it out loud. You've spent so much time trying to interpret their silence, trying to make sense of the distance, wondering if you were imagining a connection that felt too strong to be one-sided. You weren't imagining it. What you felt in those quiet, uncertain moments was real, even when nothing outward confirmed it yet. Healing doesn't always arrive with a dramatic conversation or a perfect explanation. Sometimes it arrives slowly, in small shifts you almost miss if you're not paying attention. A message that comes a little sooner than usual. A conversation that lingers a little longer than it needs to. A softness in their tone that wasn't there before. These aren't small things. They're the quiet beginning of someone choosing honesty over fear. And whatever happens next between you, know this. The fact that you affected someone this deeply says something about who you are, not what you look like. It says you carry a kind of presence that can't be faked or imitated. That's not something everyone has. So however this unfolds, whether it happens on their timeline or takes longer than you'd like, carry this truth with you. You were never too much. You were never hard to love. You were simply real in a world that isn't always ready for that. And one day, this person is going to be endlessly grateful they didn't let you go.